And welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. We welcome Tanya Abel and Nikki Antonucci. They're from a group called Gates of Mercy, which is working with A21. And we're talking about a very serious topic today. You might want to have the little ones leave the room and do something a little else to occupy them. We're talking about human trafficking today. So good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
First of all, I think still human trafficking seems like something that happens far, far away, maybe down along the border, coast. Something certainly we don't think is happening in our neighborhoods or in our community. Can you enlighten us, educate us a little bit about this very serious and disgusting topic?
Sure. Human trafficking is one of the largest trafficking and businesses basically today. It's going to outdo drug and weapon. It's really grown. 29 million plus people are trafficked, and over 15,000 of them are in the United States. And like I said, it is the fastest growing with approximately $290 billion a year.
And we're talking about dollars and we're talking about a business. You're talking about people selling other people.
Correct.
Slavery.
Correct.
And we're talking about what with slavery? Labor, and I know there's the sex trade.
Right.
What are people buying people for?
Well, like you said, it's definitely the sex trade. That's the biggest. It's probably about 80% of the sex trade and about 19% of labor trade. And rarely, but sometimes there is organ harvesting as well.
Okay, I heard that was a myth. There is organ harvesting going on as well.
Absolutely.
This is terrifying.
It is.
I hardly know where to begin. Okay, what should we, for lack of a better term, think of, the bad guys. What do they look like? How do you know that you are talking to somebody that you should be running the other direction right away?
Well, there is a trafficker profile. Traffickers can be U.S. citizens, foreign nationals, male or female, adults or minors, historical victims, or secondary enforcers. So your neighbors, pretty much anyone. Anyone can be a trafficker or a victim.
And you say former victims sometimes become traffickers themselves?
Yes, that's very, very big. They call where they keep the girls the stable, and that's where they house the girls. And oftentimes there is a lead girl who I don't feel comfortable saying what they call her right now. Mm-hmm. And she's one who's they're all trying to win the love and affection of the trafficker, and they get special privileges for being enforcers. So oftentimes they'll help groom and train the girls coming in, primp them for dates, help with money.
It seems difficult to understand how a person can get to a place where this seems like normal life, that would seem okay. If someone's getting me ready for a day, ew, what is it? I think even as children, as babies, there's that stranger danger. And you automatically have something's not right, and you want to get away as fast as you can. What's the tipping point where a person starts to trust this person who they should not be trusting?
Oftentimes it's things basic like love and shame, things that you feel on a daily basis. A lot of times we were talking, people go into trafficking through coercion, which means somebody's shown up. It's a high school student and it's an older boyfriend has come in and they make you feel loved and they make you feel special, like any high school relationship. Mentally speaking, you're not capable of understanding what true love is at those young ages. So you associate it with gifts and things like that. And we're also looking at it from an adult perspective, but most of these are minors. So think about how you were when you were 14 and someone told you that you were pretty and bought you CDs.
Wow. Is there a person who's more susceptible to falling for that than other people?
Absolutely. The most vulnerable victims are undocumented migrants, runaways, homeless and at-risk youth, individuals with disability, oppressed, marginalized, or impoverished groups of individuals.
So it's starting to make sense that a person who is from in an unhappy situation and you're looking for a happy situation and someone promises you the moon with a picket fence wrapped around it, then
Exactly.
you're ready to say, oh, okay, here's my answer.
Right, because like Nikki said earlier, it's, they take them and make all these promises to them. If they're from a foreign country, they make the promise of, oh, we'll bring you to the United States and, get you a great job and lots of money and freedom. And, so yeah, it's definitely coercion most of the time. They don't realize what they're getting into. They pave the pretty path to get them there, and then once they're there and they're in the situation, then, they may start with a threat or, whatever to keep them there.
That's my very next question. Once you know this wasn't what was promised, why would they not leave?
Again, you're thinking of it from an adult perspective.
Yeah.
That was one of the hardest things for me to understand when I first got involved is the why questions. I lost a lot of sleep over those because it just didn't make sense to me. But when you go back to a lot of these kids are from single parent homes. Parents might be in jail. They might have been in the system because of poor choices on their end or poor choices from the adults who were supposed to be taking care of them. And they're looking for love. So they've now received love, and now that's been taken, and they're still chasing that first high, I guess you would say, of that love feeling because they got it there and they weren't receiving it somewhere else. So they're continually trying to please that person to make them feel the love that they want to feel.
What does Gates of Mercy do, or A21? What do these organizations do for these people?
Gates of Mercy, at the moment, we're doing a lot of public awareness. We want people to have the signs to look for human trafficking, to know what to do when they spot or see it. We have very ambitious goals in the next several years. We're not there yet, but at the moment it's mostly public awareness.
Is this happening here
It most definitely is happening here.
prominently?
Yeah, it actually happens, and it happens in all 50 states in the United States, and then definitely in other countries. Other countries are pretty much, there are several that are where the biggest amount of it happens, but it's definitely happening here and locally.
What does it look like? We've seen the movie Taken and Taken 2 and Taken 3, and somebody said, why do they keep taking me? And it's just, we think that that's what it looks like. What does it really look like?
Well, it's ugly. That's still ugly. But it mostly looks like I told you, the love. And a very scary statistic for me was runaways and homeless youth, within 48 hours of leaving home, 1 in 3 are going to be approached by someone involved with the commercial sex industry. Also, for every 1 sex victim, there are 9 labor trafficked victims, which to me was kind of mind-boggling because when you hear trafficking, you immediately think of the sex end. But labor is pretty prominent.
Do they go in groups? I'm thinking that as long as you're with someone else and you have a better chance, certainly don't walk by yourself and late at night in dangerous areas,
Right.
or even if you're not comfortable. I know the malls now are saying ask a security guard to walk you to your car if you do not feel comfortable. They won't mind, and that's probably prudent.
It is. It's a really good idea to do that because, I think the problem now here in the United States especially is we are naive to the thought of, oh, that's not going to happen here. That happens over there, or not in my hometown. But sadly, the world that we live in now, it is in our hometown. It is in Tuscarawas County and Stark County.
You've made it very difficult to figure out who to be on the watch out for because you basically said, oh, it can be anybody. It can be your neighbor. It can be anyone. Sometimes even women trafficking for other women, which is mind-boggling. I'm really having a hard time getting my head wrapped around it. Are there red flags, something we could be on the lookout for to recognize when someone is being trafficked, like someone who's in the middle of this and maybe in its grips?
A victim? Sure.
Yes.
They can appear malnourished. They show signs of physical or mental abuse. They're rarely going to be by themselves, and when they are, there's going to be another person with them almost all the time, and that person will speak for them. They avoid eye contact and conversations. Some will speak very little English. They work long or unusual hours, so if you notice that, has little control over their schedule. They can't give you straight answers of what they can and can't do or where they can be. They live where they work, or they're transported to and from work. They're not allowed to walk to work or those kind of things. They're very fearful of law enforcement. They have a much older boyfriend or girlfriend that would make you kind of look twice at. And they're unable to clarify often where they're staying, where they're from, or where they're going.
Interesting that they're fearful of law enforcement, because that would be, again, thinking like an adult, that would be who you would want to contact right away and just say, help me.
That's I had a hard time with that as well. But a lot of them, for instance, the ones that maybe have been in trouble with the law before are now fearful for prostitution charges because the way our laws are set up, they're changing very slowly, but they are changing. They're going to get the book thrown at them for...
the victim is suddenly the one that's being prosecuted, and
Yes.
so they don't want that to happen. Are there professions that would be more likely than other professions to encounter someone who's a victim?
Absolutely. If the sex industry itself, strip clubs, prostitution, and pornography, all have victims. House cleaning services, nannies, and hotel housekeeping often employ a deal of victims. Also,
Massage parlors
can come into contact with them. Landscaping and gardening businesses, nail salons, massage parlors, as Tanya said. Large-scale agricultural labor, construction sites, and casinos are all very big.
And some of this is
Places.
physical labor.
Yes.
Let's talk about the laws. What is being done to kind of, because it would be so good if somehow there could be grace for the victim to be able to get to who really is the criminal here.
Some places are starting to lean toward that. They have things like catch court, where if they think somebody is indeed a victim, they give them the opportunity to go through this program. And if they do, then their charges can be expunged from the record. But a very scary thing for me, and this was a hard thing for me to come to grips with, was I've heard several victims speak in public arenas, and they've almost always said that they don't give up their pimps.
They won't turn them in.
They won't. They have, and it's not because they don't want them to get in trouble or even fear. A lot of times it's because they still feel that bond with them, and they can't.
We've heard about that when someone is kidnapped somehow, and it might be a survival reaction that you connect with that person as some kinds of a means to survive. And so you're saying that this is one of those cases where they still are not able to distinguish, this person is not, my best interest is not in mind for them at all. They do me harm, and they intend to do me harm.
Yeah, that's very, very common.
That's, again, very, very difficult to understand. But, thank goodness for people like you that are educating the rest of us and letting us know, and in the long run, really going to be helping these people. Gates of Mercy. Are you located somewhere? Do we go online? How do we find out more about you?
We are. We're right now currently located in New Philadelphia, Ohio, and we are working on our online website and our online presence.
We're going to find out more about what's going on. A big event coming up that you're going to want to participate in. Stay with us. You're listening to Our Community.